So I think we can start. Valentina is giving her okay. Okay, hello everybody. From our side, Valentina, Kerstin, Barbara, and me. My name is Doreen. I'm going to present you today something about, not something, some information about co-creation in general, co-creation for seniors or with seniors and businesses, of course. Just a second. Bienvenue. Okay, we have some meeting rules. Please mute yourself. I think this works very well. If you have a question, use the chat, raise your hand. We are going to answer our questions after we have finished our presentation. So what are we going to do today, or what are you going to listen? As I already told, some information of co-creation and co-creation tools in general, some information about co-creation with elderly, and of course, some information about co-creation with businesses. That's what Barbara is going to present. So our first slot, or the first minutes, I can tell you something about what co-creation is. It's about co-creation in general. So what is co-creation? Co-creation means to involve the customer in the service design or creation. And co-creation can range from the integration of customer ideas into the product development process through the selection of ideas by customers to customized design. No, sorry, Zoom does not work very well today. So what is the goal of co-creation? The goal is to create value for stakeholders represented by the participants or the team. Value can be any actual or perceived benefit or worth, such as tangible goods, processes, services, or information, of course. We have some general co-creation concepts identified in our handbook on co-creation. That is finalized just in time, and I think in a few days available. And the co-creation concepts we identified have been design thinking, word cafe, open space, but not only that, we also have some tools like blueprinting, technology and acceptance tests, or customer insights or consumer insights. But the main focus for today is on design thinking, open space, and word cafe. Okay, what is the common sense of all tools? All tools, or each tool, provide a framework to involve the customer into co-creation process, so that you can easily go to the process and most efficient and effective within the process. The first tool I would like to present is design thinking. And design thinking aims to bring different experiences, opinions, and perspectives on a problem in order to create innovations that focus on the user and solve the problems in the best possible way. It's a very easy tool to handle, and it really makes fun. I experienced that a lot. I really like design thinking. So if we have a look on the process, we have different steps such as empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and to some extent test. So the first point, or the first aspect when doing design thinking, is to learn about what the audience needs. You listen to your audience, you observe your audience, and have some insights into the special field and the special field your audience interacts with. So the question within this first step is, who is my user and what matters to this person? The next step is to define, and define means to create a point of view that is based on user needs and insights. And the question behind is, what are their needs? What are your customers' customer needs? The next step is to explore, and there one point is to ideate. So what are you doing? You brainstorm and come up with as many creative solutions as possible, and wild ideas should be encouraged, and that's the point. You should not forget the fun factor. That's all what all processes or tools have in common. They really make fun and animate your audience to co-create together or with each other. After ideation, you prototype. So your ideas come in shape, and you build a representation of one or more of your ideas to show the others what you had in mind. And the question behind that step is, how can I show your idea? And what you have to keep in mind is that it's just a rough draft. It must not be very perfect. It's just a rough draft of your idea. That's why it's called prototype. And then the next step after prototyping is testing. So with your prototype, you go to your audience and have a look and observe what your audience is going to do with it, and to get to know and to recognize what worked and what didn't. The next tool you can use, it's a tool I use by myself when I do trainings and something like that. I really like it. It's a word cafe. And with a word cafe, the actors involved in the innovation process can be brought into conversations with each other to discuss problems and questions in really small groups. A prerequisite, sorry for that, for successful outcomes is an open and friendly atmosphere, and that's why you create a cafe house atmosphere. It's really, really nice, and the setting of a word cafe is always with some tables, having some coffee, maybe some cake or some cookies or something like that on the table to get easily and very open-minded and friendly in contact. What is the process behind a word cafe? First of all, of course, you have a welcome. You welcome your audience. You present the question that is going to get discussed at the tables, and then you have parallel discussions, maybe for 20 to 25 minutes, maybe longer. It depends on the question. And after one round ends, after maybe 20 minutes, the participants or the group at the first table is going to the next table. There you have a moderator who's going to introduce the participants to the discussion that was had in advance before the group comes to the table. And then after this short introduction by the moderator, the group starts to discuss again. You can have about 3 to 4 groups, not groups, 3 to 4 rounds. And after 4 rounds of discussion, maybe 1 hour, you are going to present, not you can also, but the participants present the results of the discussion and combine the key findings. That's a very nice way to have a short co-creation session, the word cafe. The next thing I would like to present is the open space. Open space is a tool you can, a tool that is often used for larger groups, up to 50 or 75 people, because one element of an open space is to divide the large group into smaller groups. And what are you doing? As always, you're going to welcome your participants and give a short introduction into the main topic, because one key factor or one aspect of an open space is that only the main topic is communicated. And after this welcome and the presentation of the main topic, and maybe a short introduction of each participant, subtopics in reference to the main topic are going to be collected. And if you have all subtopics in reference to the main topic, a schedule is made. When should session X take place, when session Y, and so on. Who is going to lead the subtopic session, and where should it take place, so that each participant knows, okay, this is my main interest topic, there I would like to join, where do I have to go. If you scheduled all your subtopics, the marketplace takes place. You can do a discussion, you can do a workshop, you can even do within this open space and word cafe or design thinking if you have enough time. And after this marketplace, maybe a half day or a whole day, the audience comes together and presents the key findings in 3 to 5 minutes, pitches maybe, and you collect the topics, and here you can combine the key findings as well, like the word cafe. So the open space is a very open format to co-create, and within an open space you can even integrate other co-creation tools as well. So that's all about co-creation tools in general, that are very easy tools, and Valentina and Kerstin are now going to present some more detailed co-creation tools and some insights into the co-creation process with Elderly.
Thank you to Doreen for your introduction and for the more general co-creation part. My colleague Kerstin and I are going to talk now about co-creation with seniors. So it's, yes, also the same topic, it's co-creation. We also tried out like this design thinking methods, but also like more specific tools. And in the next 15 minutes, we would just like to share you some of our learnings from co-creation with seniors. And then my colleague Kerstin will also share some of our tools, and we will do that by sharing you our almost finished toolbox for senior engagement. And okay, I can't share my screen. Maybe can I have the rights to?
Yes, I already stopped.
Okay.
But I'm not quite sure why it does not work.
Okay, in the meantime, I'm just, yes, maybe for your explanation, I will share with you the toolbox for senior engagement, and you will soon find the toolbox on the project website, iCare Smart, and on the Silverstar platform. And then you can download the toolbox and also check out the templates we will soon share with you. And okay.
Valentina?
Yes.
Barbara, I already stopped screen sharing. I don't know why it does not work. I'm going to leave the meeting and come back in a few minutes, and hopefully it works.
So. Okay. I don't know, or Barbara, can you share it otherwise, if it's not possible for me?
Yes. But you should share now.
Okay. Yes, it's working now. Perfect. Okay, it's possible now, or? Yes, great.
You can see it.
Okay, yes. So in the next minutes, as mentioned before, I will start in the beginning about some general co-creation learnings with seniors, and then Kerstin is going to introduce you to some of the tools we used for co-creating with seniors. And here you can see also the index from our toolbox. So we really try to give our best examples and our learnings. And if you plan to have some co-creation sessions with seniors, check out the toolbox and you can get a picture of what we did and also get some inspiration if you plan and if you don't know what tools to use for co-creation with seniors. In the beginning, if you plan to do co-creation with seniors, and I think it's always really worth planning it, and it really is something very valuable if you are co-creating with seniors. But it's also important if you plan to do it to know that it needs a lot of time. So it's nothing like you can do in half an hour, just make an interview and get feedback. If you really want to integrate the feedback of the target group and of seniors, you just need to know that it needs time. And it's also important if you do sessions with seniors that you're not in a rush, but that you really listen to them carefully and that you also respect their participation by doing that. So providing time is one of our most important learning. And another learning what we have from our co-creation sessions with seniors is also like in the co-creation process, everything is about being open-minded and not like always stick to the plan, but sometimes it's better like to stay flexible and do something maybe what you didn't plan, but the process like needs the change at the moment, and then you really try to have this flexibility. And what is important for the first steps for co-creation with seniors is also that you really consider the target group, not that they only test your product or your service, but that they also have the people have an opportunity to share their stories and to share their perception and to share like they maybe also crazy ideas. So here again, to provide this time and openness for people's stories. And what then is also really important if you have a co-creation process is to clarify what your own goal is and to have clear frameworks and to have a clear communication with the seniors. So to say them what you're planning, what you're doing with the results, and to inform that about the process. And especially in the COVID times, we also used online tools with seniors, and our learnings from the online tools with co-creation online tools with seniors is in general, seniors tend to have face-to-face communication, but sometimes it's better to have online sessions than to have no session at all. But then our learning is like to test the tool before and to combine the digital tools with non-digital tools. So if you meet them in a Zoom, then a week or 2 weeks before you call them and try to enter the meeting room together on the phone, for example. And then I will give the floor to Kerstin to talk about the tools in the different phases of co-creation.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. As we already learned or saw in Doreen's presentation, we also focused on different phases of co-creation and tested the methods in different phases. So basically, the first phase of understanding is more or less about listening to the target group, to the seniors, but also their care network, for example, or the families, relatives, about their needs and get to understand your target group very well. So also for when you're working with a startup, for example, who's developing some technologies, also try to make them understand what the target group needs, how what are the problems they are struggling with. So to really step into the shoes of the target group for some time at least. In the conceptualizing phase, it's like getting the ideas and all the needs and things you created in the understanding phase in a concept around your product or your service you want to develop, or already maybe have a prototype of it, and try to integrate the things you learned in the understanding phase in the prototype and in the in your product. And in the testing phase, it's of course for us in our project, it was a very core part of the project to test the services and products we worked with using co-creation methods. So really give the product or the service to the seniors and to their families maybe, and let them try it out and get feedback on how they are dealing with it. And of course, the evaluation phase is also a very important one to work with the feedback you gathered, to combine all the things and then try to build some kind of a roadmap for the future and how to integrate the findings in your product or service. And for the next minutes, I would like to just mention some examples of the tools we tried out in the different phases. Maybe we start in the understanding phase with the shadowing. I don't know, I think it's page 14, Valentina, thanks. Yeah, thanks, great. So the shadowing method is a very good one to get to understand the problems and needs of your target group in their daily life. So for example, if you are working on a product or a service concerning the issue of mobility, you try to go to like the setting or the places where the seniors are living and having their daily lives. So maybe their homes, a nursing home, or also their spaces in the city areas where they are moving around, public transportation, for example. So it depends on really on the topic you want to work on, and to like be a kind of silent observer of the target group and try to look at the things they are doing good. So what are things like in mobility in the public spaces they are dealing with? So are they moving around quickly? Are they having maybe some troubles? What are the issues they have having problems with? For example, entering public transportation or buying a bus ticket at a ticket corner or something like that. And try to look at things, how they handle problems also. So how they are solving certain difficult situations, what are the things they are trying to deal with the situation, and make also a lot of notes about what you find surprising, what are things that you weren't aware of in before. And in all the methods, it doesn't really depend on what phase you're in. It is very important to keep an open mind and to not have a certain idea or focus in your head, but just to be open to what you may find during using the method, and what you may recognize. Maybe Valentina, you can also show, this example. It's an example on how we try to write down and take notes during the shadowing sessions, for example. So to make notes on the behavior of the target group you are observing, about, as I already mentioned, the problems or things they don't like about certain things. If you are using shadowing as a method where they try out a product, for example, that's also an important part when you're taking a look at the things they don't like about it now. Also on how they are solving a problem, as I already mentioned, or for example, what are things they enjoy, what are things they like, and then what are situations they are having positive feelings and are feeling good about. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can move on to the next part. We can also give you a short idea on the conceptualizing phase. I think we tried out some workshop using a design thinking method, as Doreen already explained. So we planned a workshop on, in our case, it was a workshop about a rolling walker, so a walking aid for seniors. And we tried to use this workshop to gather a lot of ideas and insights on what made the walking aid, walking assistance of their dreams for seniors may look like. So that was the leading question. And we had a very diverse group of people we invited. We had seniors, we had nurses, but also physiotherapists, but we had people from the architecture and city planning. We had people from industrial design, for example. So to have very different views on a certain topic together, and then we worked in small teams to talk about what is important to look at a walking aid, for example. What are the functionalities? What are designs? What are additional services they may like? Who should? What should the material be like? So to have this big group of 20 or 30 people split up in smaller teams of about 5 to 6 or 8 people to discuss the different topics, and afterwards present the ideas or the most important aspects to the whole group, and to really think about a topic on a very open-minded and broad way, and don't think about things that may never work because it's too expensive, or that function can never be integrated in the product, but to really just think about what if everything is possible, and to select afterwards the things that you can really integrate in your product. And in the conceptualizing phase, we also used the streaming postcards. So we gave them to seniors to write their ideas on it in the city area, and they sent us back their ideas on certain questions. It's just to gather ideas. Yeah. And in the testing phase, maybe just a quick look at the real life testing. So a user test we tried out as a methodology. We had, for example, in the user test, it's important that you also think about a diverse group of people you are testing your product or your prototype with. So that was a very important issue, to have a diverse group of seniors in our case to test the product. And to have also, as Valentina mentioned, as one of the key learnings overall, to have enough time to work with the seniors, to try out and to listen to them just before the testing, so get to know them a bit, where they're coming from, and also of course during the testing. So try to ask a lot of questions, how they are feeling while using the product, what are things they have in mind during the testing, and try to always keep them talking about what they are thinking right now. It's for them, sometimes it's a bit strange because they don't want to tell you things they don't like or bad things, so they recognize about the product. But it's important in the welcoming part of the user test to tell them, okay, we really want to learn from you and we want to get feedback on what you are experiencing. So to get them to understand that it's important that they tell you also the bad parts about the product or the things they don't like. And when you try to explain that at the beginning on a very clear communication, they also are more aware to tell you these things during the user test. And we worked during the user test, we worked in pairs. So we invited always 2 seniors together for 1.5 hours to test the product. So we had enough time to do the testing, and also it's nice for them if they are not the test person is not alone during the user test, but if they are like a couple, they the first person tries it out and then the second one, and they can like exchange ideas to each other, and not only talking to us as the test organizers, so to say. And what we also did in the preparation was to be aware of the roles you are having during the user test. Yeah, thanks, Valentina, for going back. So that you define the roles in your group. So who is doing the observation, who is doing the asking of questions, who is the one responsible, for example, doing photos or videos, and also try to explain the different roles to the seniors beforehand so that they know who is doing what during the user testing. I don't know if we have some time to show you the templates as well. We just had a template during the user test to take notes of what they like, what are the wishes, what are questions that come up during the testing, and what are ideas they're having on the product. Yeah, I think that's basically it. And I don't know, Valentina, I guess I give the floor back to you.
Perfect. So I will thank you for the insight in the tools we used. So just like to put it all in a nutshell and to give you all our final co-creating learnings with seniors. So in general, like co-creation tools are really great to really get to know your target group. And there's so many tools, and it's really inspiring to try out different ones. And systematic feedback and co-creation is really good for the quality of a product or service. And we got the feedbacks from startups and companies that once they are into the co-creation methods, they really value using co-creation. And it's also, it can avoid making mistakes. Like if you do co-creation now, then maybe you it's easier and it avoids you a lot of mistakes later. And what is also really good, like Kerstin said, it's always good, and we recommend it to integrate the whole system to engage different people, different stakeholders, and diverse seniors. And in maybe just last but not least, you can use all co-creation methods with seniors. So it's not like that there are specific ones. It's just important when you use the co-creation methods with seniors that you just arrange and organize senior-friendly environments and consider the needs by the organizing the sessions. And then thanks for your time, and I give the floor to Barbara to talk about co-creation with businesses. You're muted, Barbara.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's working perfect.
Okay, thank you. So what we would like to present today is also the Toolbox for Business Engagement. This webinar is supposed to launch also these results of the project, aiming to provide to people that would like to co-create some suggestions, some idea about to involve the seniors, about how to involve businesses, and which is the proper way to co-create together according to the theory, the methodology that in the handbook for co-creation are described and provided. So just to enter more in details about what was the process for the business, the purpose to engage business as to improve, to support them, to make new market opportunities, because supporting with the co-creation, you can address better the needs of the users, to improve the acceptability of new products, to reduce also the time to market, because since the design process, you are supported with the end user, the customers you are going to have. And also, of course, to allow to the actors of the quadruple helix to take their role in this process. How we achieve, how we select these tools. It was a long process during the project lifetime. So we identify which was the best practices available, to understand which was the business needs and all the example in SuccessFactors, what was the driven factor, and also the identification of the requirement of this tool to be effective. So we list the barriers, the success factor, and also the driven factor. The tools identify and explain in the toolboxes are more or less this, the procurement for innovation that aims to match the businesses that are trying to produce new services or a product with the final customers that can be, in this case, more commonly big institution. They provide their needs and they make a kind of call for designing product. There is an exchange of risks of designing. The matching events that are more targeted to put in contact directly business with customers or researchers, and the Living Lab that I would like to say that we have in the subsequent webinar the opportunity to present better the Living Lab with an invited speaker that will show us the best practice. The network facilitators that support business in identify the key actors for the networking. So on interest in the same purposes, providing funding, or also just making research on the same topic. Business incubator that support newborn firms to grow up, providing the basic services and experience that cannot be have inside the newborn firms, like expert on economy and communication and so on. And the last one is the virtual community. I try to make this presentation very quick because the idea is to present you the virtual community more in detail, because this event has been planned and launched inside the Silverstar platform that is a virtual community. What does it mean? The definition is very old, is from the 84, from Youngbloods, and define virtual community as a group of people that exchange words and ideas through the mediation of digital networks. That seems to be exactly the definition of co-creation through a virtual channel, like we are try to do today with this virtual meeting. Additionally, there is the definition of the virtual innovation community, where the topics, the exchange goes around the purpose of innovation. So the shared idea here is to search for innovation in the topic of the needs that can be personal needs for elderly, for example, can be market needs for businesses. Those tools, as I said before, very quickly, have different driven factors, have different barriers that can be understood and identified to make them successfully. In the toolboxes, we provide a kind of overview of which are the requirements of this tool to be done successfully, which are the key features to be highlighted, to be promoted more, and also which are the roles for all the actors. It's not a toolbox designing only for business or only for public entities to involve business. It's a tool designed to support a better awareness about the instruments and how to promote and use them more effectively, involving business in the most appropriate way. Why I'm saying that? Because of course, time is the big constraint we have. And for, especially for small and medium enterprises, time means cost. So they have to be involved, they have a clear idea, a clear knowledge about the effect of being involved in a co-creation process, about which are the topics that will be treated in each of these events or network or virtual community, and to better design their role and their involvement. And this is one of the key, the main key factor that become successfully any of the tools we are presented. Talking about the virtual community, there are some functionalities that has been identified that are available in the majority of the virtual community, like in a social network, more or less, change just the scope of the network. To be member of group of discussion, to select which are the most appropriate group of discussion, to be allowed to participate to some of them instead of the others, to make available the possibility to have a pool, to put questions and collect as much as possible the answers, to share document material, of course, but also to organize events to be shared through the network as a calendar and so on. But let me just provide you a quick overview of our network. This is, I hope you can see, this is my list of groups, all the group in which I am involved. And I would like to emphasize, for example, the cafe area, because we have listened since the presentation of Doreen that the World Cafe, an open place where to discuss, it's quite a good way to start the discussion. And we have this virtual situation that try to simulate the World Cafe. In the cafe area, this is a public group, because of course you would like sometimes to put a discussion open to any comments, or to select a group of attendants because it's more protected, your idea, or because you would like, for example, to discuss in your mother tongue. And this is possible too. You can create closed group, open group, group related to specific topics. You can see here the cafe area in which you can share event like the presentation of this webinar, or you can, for example, provide discussion, detailed discussion about the topic. You launch an idea, you ask if you have, for example, in this case, that was how you can persuade older adults in video recorded, so to share their images. And that was a topic that has collected some ideas, some discussion, sharing experience, to learn about the experience of all the others. It is possible also, and I think I have finalized my time, to create some specific pool that was an open questions and that collect a number of voting. So how to help senior adults overcome their fear of using new technologies. That is another topic that is interesting for the community. And there was some predefined answer, but also the open one, and the collection of the experience, the idea more specified. So just to conclude, what was the purpose of today? To present our tools, to present the results and what we collect in sharing our experience to be like a starting point for future collaborations for improve the co-creation with the support of the seniors, with the support of businesses in a more comfortable way. I would like to promote a little bit the Silver Star platform, because it's a community started inside the partnership that can be grow up if you to be engaging. You just have to provide your name and email, and you are a member of the community, so it's very easy to do. And providing you all my thanks, I will leave the floor to Doreen to conclude, but if there are some questions, of course, we are at your disposal. There is one question, I suppose. Please, Konradin.
I have a question to Kerstin and Valentina, because I think it's I think it was a wonderful presentation. It's really very, very helpful to see what you've been doing in innovation with the elderly. My question was actually how you engage, like how you kind of choose and engage and activate the elderly people to participate in your workshops, basically, because with like younger people, it's easier. You put out some money there and they come and they work and they do whatever, you know. And so I was wondering how you managed, you know, to activate those people.
Yeah, basically it's all about having some kind of contact, personal contact to them. So either you have some kind of user panel or group you already worked with. So we have a list of seniors we included in previous projects, and they already know us and from other projects and like to test and try out new things, and always telling us, okay, if you have something new, just phone us and we will be there. So it's like collecting people from all the projects you're doing who are interested in such co-creation methods, and also having contact to other care organizations, to the nurses or caregivers there, to explain your issue, what you're looking for, maybe go to the organization themselves, present what you are trying to test, talk to the seniors, explain it to them what you are in need of, what you're looking for, what they are having out of the testing and being part of such workshops. So what is the thing they are getting from it, and try to motivate them. It's just all about talking to them and try to convince them that it will be fun, that they will get to know new things, that their insights is valuable for your project and for your testing, and that you really need their feedback to improve the service or the product you're testing, and also have some kind of small incentives for them. So we try to have some kind of small, not presents, but some things you can give to them to say thank you, even if it's just some sweets, or if it's some kind of like we had in the project, all the materials, the pens or something you can give to them to say thank you for being part of it.
Okay, so it's more about intrinsic motivation and how you
motivate. Yeah, and having a network of other organizations and people who are having contact to seniors, if you don't have it yourself, to help you find the seniors. And if you had some positive contact and already had some seniors who really like to be part of such sessions, and they telling you, okay, we want to be part of it again in the future, then ask them, can I write down your contact information, and can I contact you again if there are some new sessions coming up. Have them sign some kind of agreement, because it's important that you are also allowed to save their contact information, and try to build up a list of people you can get in touch with.
What we also did in the beginning was we went to the local farmers market and tried to talk about the project, and that we in future will do some activities. And then you already got to know like also new seniors. They were just like interested and said, oh yes, please just call me if you're planning any co-creation sessions. And then maybe if then the specific session fits to my point of interest, then I'm happy to participate. So I think like public events or public places can also be a good opportunity to reach out to seniors you don't know yet.
Cool.
Thank you. We also had some good we had once in the project, we had like a really big article in a local newspaper on a Sunday, which has a very huge reader audience in our region. And we explained the project and then told them, okay, you have the opportunity to test, I don't know, tablets for 6 months or so. And that was really a good way also to get the information out there. So the print and newspaper media, for example, is something you can reach the seniors as well. So just we had a great feedback on such articles in previous project as well.
Okay, wonderful. I mean, I can imagine that it's depending on the subject you want to do research on, it's way more difficult to recruit people. For example, if you have walking aids, this is something that everyone can relate to and everyone needs it, right? But if it's around the subject, let's say like more difficult subject like Alzheimer, it would be way more difficult for 2 reasons. I assume you know it better than me. But it's way more difficult because A, it's harder to find the people, and B, it's a subject no one really likes to talk about, right? If you have like AIDS for people with Alzheimer, no one likes to participate in the group, maybe because no one likes to admit that he or she is in the beginning of having troubles with Alzheimer, etc. So I can imagine there is differences in how hard it is to recruit people.
Of course. In this case, it's also an idea to get in contact with the caregivers, with the relatives and families, for example, and try to talk to them first, but also to other care organizations or associations or self-help groups, for example, for people with Alzheimer, to meet people there and then talk about the project and what you're looking for. And it's a lot of work to find these people, because you just not go there to like a meeting of a self-help group and tell them, okay, that's my project, that's what I want to test, and please sign here that you want to test it. You have to go there several times, maybe have some face-to-face contact, maybe call them afterwards on the phone and then try to talk to them again about problems or difficulties they are having about being part of your project. So it's a lot of work to find people for for the testing, but yeah, in the end, it's it's a good thing to do.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
So if there is any other question, you can also to post in a chat the question, or of course, I would like to remind you can post your question, open question on the general group, open group you prefer, the cafe area, or there are also other interesting group on the platform. I don't see any reaction now, so probably we can close here this first webinar. I would like also to remind that we are going to have an important meeting every almost 20 days. So you will receive, or you will see on our social media, on our channel of communication, the official communication channel of the iCareSmart project, the announcement of the next webinar. The first one will be the 7th of March from the AT Health Lab of Hungary. So it was a good opportunity to see what they did and how they was able to support the co-creation in the topic of healthcare of older adults. So thanks a lot for joining, and keep in touch through all these possibilities and all these tools we described a little bit today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
It was interesting. Huh?
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.